What's up, everybody? It's Josh. I want to talk about Doctor Doom and Reed Richards, two of my favorite characters from Marvel Comics, and two characters that I think will have a big part to play in Avengers Kang Dynasty and in Avengers Secret Wars. I think it's possible that even though Kang is going to be the major catalyst to get us to the MCU version of Secret Wars, that it's possible that Reed Richards and Doctor Doom will play more of a significant role in that story and in that movie than even Kang himself. Because you see in the most recent comic book version of Secret Wars, that story is more or less simply about Reed Richards and Doctor Doom. And I mean, yes, that story is about the multiverse, that story is about celebrating all of these bombastic what if Elseworld type things within Marvel Comics. It's so cool that the entire multiverse is shrunk down to a singular planet in Battle World. But the end of that story sees God Emperor Doom coming face to face and fighting one-on-one with his rival Reed Richards for the sake of the entire multiverse. And it's one of those really rare endings that works on so many levels and was more or less a perfect end cap to that entire crazy story. And again, it's really about these two characters. It's about the jealousy of Doctor Doom. It's about Reed Richards not being able to recognize that Victor is right about things and sometimes better than him. And in the middle of this crazy fight, they admit all of these things that they've never admitted to each other. Reed does admit that Victor had the will and the mindset to save the multiverse when Reed did not. But Victor also admits that it would have been better had Reed been the one to control all of the godlike power after the collapse of the multiverse. And the real lesson here is that these two men would have just been able to work together. They probably would have been able to save the multiverse and do it a lot easier than the way that things went down. And then what happens is the Molecule Man, hearing the admittance from Emperor Doom that the power would be better off with Reed Richards, simply just gives all the power to Reed Richards. And then with the help of his son, Reed recreates the entire multiverse using the Beyonders' powers. And I just love these two characters because in a world with crazy amounts of powers, magic, machines like Ultron, and all these just crazy things, it is intelligence and willpower that really elevates Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards to the forefront of that story in Secret Wars and to many different stories throughout Marvel Comics history. These two characters are so intelligent that they're able to fight off Celestials, fight gods, go into hell itself and beat Mephisto. It's absolutely crazy. They are powerful in their own right because of the cosmic rays and the energy that hit Reed and Victor and his propensity for sorcery and the armor that he wears. But it's really their intelligence that propels them to the heights of the greatest characters within Marvel Comics. And of course, Kevin Feige, being a big comic book nerd, absolutely knows this and will put it in to the characters when they come into the MCU. And so now let's talk about the evidence out there. Let's talk about how Feige has already started to plant the seeds of these two characters and they're significant to Marvel in his most recent projects. The latest rumors for Doctor Doom is that the character will appear in a post-credit scene for Wakanda Forever. And in fact, his machinations will be felt throughout Wakanda Forever, and it will be implied that Victor Von Doom has been operating in the MCU for some time, and that he's also responsible for the war between Atlantis and Wakanda, and Victor is also trying to get vibranium. Oh, and as a small little bonus to this, there was recent news that it's not a stand-in that they filmed this post-credit scene, that Doctor Doom has officially been cast, and he himself, the actor, was in the Doctor Doom suit to shoot the post-credit scene for Wakanda Forever. Let's go. But so let's talk about that. Like, again, the identity of Doctor Doom is going to be established in this post-credit scene, and there's a lot going on here with a very small amount of screen time. I mean, we know that Doom has been operating for some time. He obviously has a lot of resources to be able to orchestrate a conflict between Atlantis and Wakanda. His seeking of vibranium suggests that he's trying to become incredibly powerful, and this is all happening at a time in 616 MCU where things are all over the place. The Avengers are more or less gone, and the world is in somewhat of disarray. Now, that disarray is going to continue in Wakanda Forever, especially with a big-scale conflict between these two superpowers. The world's going to be even more weakened, likely ripe for Victor to try to take it over. And if you didn't know, a big part of Doctor Doom's story in the comics is that he creates time travel very early on in the MCU, and he uses his time platform to look ahead into alternate futures for Earth. He realizes that Earth mostly screws things up and humanity is left destitute, but if he conquers the planet and rules over Earth, they've got a pretty good shot of coming out ahead. And it's very likely that Victor already has time travel devices or the ability to look into the future in the MCU. So just like you and me, he knows that the Fantastic Four movie's coming out in November 2024, and then you're going to have Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. So just like us, he's probably preparing. And in fact, there's a little Easter egg in Multiverse of Madness that links Reed Richards to Doctor Doom. You see, the device that Reed Richards uses to appear in the Illuminati headquarters is inspired by Victor Von Doom's time platform. This was leaked out by the producers. They said this is Doctor Doom's time travel platform that Reed Richards uses to appear in front of Doctor Strange and the rest of the Illuminati. And that's pretty wild and implies a bunch of stuff about Reed Richards in the 838 universe. But of course, Reed himself being in Multiverse of Madness and us learning a little bit about 838 and the Baxter Foundation is another way that Kevin Feige has introduced Reed to normal MCU audience goers. And he again seems to be doing an incredible job of laying the foundation and understanding of what makes this guy tick, how influential he is in Marvel Comics, and how influential the character will be in the Multiverse Saga. Because it is Reed and the Baxter Foundation that is going around cataloging the multiverse. They also seemingly have prisons built to deal with multiversal threats. And personally, I think Reed's influence on 838 was massive. I believe the big catalyst for 838 being different than the 616 is the fact that Ultron actually functioned properly on 838. That is very likely due to influence, probably direct influence, by Reed Richards. Reed Richards helps fix the flaws of Tony Stark's Ultron, and therefore Ultron actually functions well and helps to keep the Earth safe. And this has wild ramifications. I mean, you've got no Civil War, no Sokovia, no Vision. Many of the Avengers probably retire. And in fact, the Avengers are probably not even needed on 838. And so with way less conflict and bad stuff happening on Earth, the Reed Richards of 838 was able to set his sights on the multiverse. And I also think that the fact that 838 is very authoritarian, like that's kind of what I've been gathering from a lot of the things that like Michael Waldron and people behind the scenes are saying, that it's very possible that Reed Richards has imprisoned Victor Von Doom on the 838 timeline. If he's got the time travel platform, if he knows Victor, he's intelligent as he could be, and he's also being aided by Ultron, yes, I do think that this Reed Richards likely imprisoned Victor on 838. And in fact, it's possible he's going around the multiverse imprisoning other versions of Victor. That was something that was in the Council of Reed story. Our Reed Richards discovers that the Reed Richards at the Citadel that are all working together have been going around the multiverse, capturing Victor Von Dooms and lobotomizing them. Now, it's also really important that Feige establishes Reed Richards having two children in the 838 timeline, and this, of course, is Franklin Richards and Valeria. Now, Valeria is as intelligent as Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards. Sometimes she's more intelligent than them. They all kind of jockey for that number one intelligent position. But either way, Valeria, absolute brilliant person that could be aiding in cataloging of the multiverse in 838. And Franklin Richards, pre his sort of retcon recently, is a mutant and is incredibly powerful with his own cosmic reality warping abilities. And so what does all this mean for the 616 version of the characters that are seemingly coming very, very soon? I mean, Doctor Doom's going to be established soon. You're not likely to see Fantastic Four stuff until the movie in 2024, but regardless, both those characters are going to be active in 616 very soon. Well, I assume that Reed Richards in our universe is also going to have his children, and I think he's also going to have his sights set on the multiverse. But unlike the Reed from 838, he's not going to go to the multiverse out of curiosity. I believe he will be drawn there likely because of incursions or some kind of reading that he has figured out there's this big multiversal problem. And I actually think that the Fantastic Four movie itself is going to be somewhat of like a Star Trek ship voyage with Fantastic Four going out throughout the multiverse to try to stop incursions. I think it'll be a big version of Time Runs Out with the Fantastic Four front and center. We could even possibly see a scenario in which Marvel's Illuminati also goes out with the Fantastic Four on this voyage to try to stop the incursions, like a big version of Time Runs Out. But just like in the comic books, I think Victor is also going to become aware of the different incursions. And I think he's going to be devising his own plan and way to stop the incursions from happening. Perhaps that is why Victor wants the Vibranium and why he is trying to build his power and influence in the main timeline. And so again, I think there's a lot of precedence in what Feige is doing now, what the history of these characters is in the comic books to make us believe that they will be a big part of Avengers Secret Wars. And again, maybe even a bigger deal than Kang. I also want to throw out there that I have this crazy theory that Reed and Doom will be revealed to be relatives of Kang the Conqueror, and that there'll be this crazy family dynamic in Kang Dynasty, which will add this really crazy element to the MCU version of Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Do you think that Reed Richards and Doctor Doom will play a massive role in Secret Wars, and how do you see that going down? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Come on by our live streaming channel where we talk about all kinds of fun nerdy stuff as we get towards these two Avengers movies. And smash a gosh dang like on this video, would you? Hope you're having a good day. I'll see you later.